that we've got the announcement in the King's Speech of a football regulator on the way. You know, that is one of the big issues, the cost of how much football is to paying spectators. And so Newcastle fans appreciative of how little, in inverted commas, it costs when you come here to watch it in Germany. Right, match about to begin and the players are being turned round.
A little bit of mind games going on here, John, I think. Lascelles has won the toss and decided that they're going to change ends.
So they're going to make Dortmund attack towards the yellow
in the
wall
first half.
In the first half. I always say, I'm
you always
amazed.
look for that wee thing, John.
I am amazed that more teams don't do that to home sides. But that's what Newcastle and Eddie Howe have done to Borussia Dortmund tonight. I don't think that Borussia Dortmund fans are very happy about this, that you can hear the reaction. And Nick Pope's running down towards their end. What a sight that must be for the goalkeeper when you run the full length of this stadium towards that yellow wall. So we're ready for the start of this Champions League group match. There is the whistle and the match begins. The referee tonight is Alejandro Hernandez from Spain, and immediately it is Borussia Dortmund attacking through the middle, looking to find the blonde-haired Julian Brandt on the edge of the penalty area, and Newcastle in the green shirts, the Saudi Arabian coloured green shirts tonight. And Willock does well, strong play, takes it away down the right hand side, and then in comes the challenge. It is that old stager Mats Hummels, the 34-year-old, 35 next month, and in fact with the crunching tackle that he's put in on Willock stayed down. And I think he just caught his trailing heel.
Yeah, he did. There was nothing wrong with the tackle, and there was no malice in it, but he's getting up very gingerly.
And he has had an Achilles problem.
Oh, has he?
Yeah, he was out. You know, the reason he's played so little this season, first of all, it was a hamstring problem, and then when he came back, it was an Achilles issue. And I'm not sure which leg it was, which ankle it was, but he's okay, and he's back on his feet. So the Dortmund side in full, Kobel in goal, the back four of Zula coming in at right back, Hummels and Schlotterbeck, Ryerson at left back, then Özcan in the centre of midfield, the Turkish international, with Sabitzer and Nemetcha, who scored the winner when the sides met a fortnight ago on Tyneside. Felix Nemetcha, the former Manchester City youngster, and Sabitzer, former Manchester United man, on the right-hand side of the midfield. And then Adeyemi and Brandt in the wide positions, and Füllkrug through the middle. It's a goal kick to Dortmund. What have you spotted, Neil?
Just a high press from Newcastle. You know, Dortmund leaving 3 up, and there's a massive gap between the Newcastle back 4 and the midfield 3. Very interesting start to the game. They started on a positive foot and trying to play in the Dortmund half.
And what a massive night it is for these young men, Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall, who are making their debuts tonight in the European club competitions, both of them. So it is Trippier who's continuing at right back. I'll run you through the Newcastle team in a moment. But Nemetcha for Borussia Dortmund, the Schwarz-Gelben, the yellow and black, and that's the ball towards the edge of the area looking for Brandt, but Newcastle clear it, and Livramento stabs it beyond Schlotterbeck, but then couldn't get to the ball down the right wing, and it's chipped out of play for a throw-in by Ryerson. Throw-in to Newcastle, who have Pope in goal. The back four is Trippier, Lascelles, Schär and Hall, and then Bruno Guimaraes with Sean Longstaff and Joe Willock, and then Tino Livramento in that advanced right-sided position, Joe Linton in the position on the other side, the left side, and Callum Wilson through the middle. If you didn't hear earlier, both Gordon and Almiron among the substitutes. Trippier to take the throw for Newcastle, and I think that was a shove by Wilson there. That's what they're suggesting, that Schlotterbeck was shoved as he went for that, but it is given only as a throw to Newcastle, level with the edge of the penalty area. If you're switching on for Drive, by the way, on 5 Live, apologies, but we will have a roundup of the day's news at half-time, and it is Champions League commentary tonight with this early kick-off. Trippier gets the ball back and crosses it into Ryerson, and it bounces out of play for another throw next to the corner flag. That's down in the section where the Newcastle fans are. They're in both tiers actually to our right, and so many Newcastle United flags, the St George's flags in black and white, and various northeast place names written across them. Livramento gets the ball from the throw, gives it back to Trippier, his cross, it's cleared away towards the edge of the penalty area. Bruno Guimaraes lifts it over the top of both Livramento and Trippier, and it's out of play for a throw to Dortmund.
Yes, but a good start by Newcastle. They're trying to press Dortmund back, and certainly trying to play it down the sides. Won a lot of throw-ins to start with, trying to put the ball in the box. Dortmund yet to find the rhythm.
Yep, Dortmund bringing it forward. header down the line by Sabitzer with his dark hair tied back behind his head, the Austrian international. Trippier, though, might have just been caught there by Füllkrug, but he's okay. Newcastle in possession. It's curled forward to Livramento on the right-hand side. Newcastle with all of these absentees, 12 first-team players unavailable for one reason or another, and that's why neither as Borussia Dortmund break from the centre with Nemecha in the centre circle. Nemecha just had to stretch his legs. Willett came back. Then Hall is up against Adeyemi. Adeyemi to the byline, tries to get the cross in, but Hall went with him, got something on it and deflected it behind. Corner to Dortmund.
That'll give him a lift. That's a great bit of defending by Lewis Hall. The one-on-one with Adeyemi and he stopped the cross. Albeit, it's a nice break from Dortmund. They got to the second ball and got it wide early. Hall did brilliantly to stop the cross. Corner though.
Yeah, a corner from the left-hand side. Lewis Hall, on loan from Chelsea, might well become a permanent deal. But Newcastle have this corner to defend in front of the Sud Tribune. An outswinger towards the penalty spot, half-headed away by Cher, still inside the Newcastle box, then a header further away from Bruno Guimaraes. But Adeyemi has now got it on the left-hand side with that magnificent mop of hair that he's got. Adeyemi, it's played forward off a deflection, just kept in by Bruno Guimaraes. The Dortmund coach, Edin Terzic, down there was suggesting that it might have gone out of play. Another Newcastle match when the ball might have been out.
No chance there, John, no chance.
So here's Hummels with the ball at the back. He's back in the German squad now under Nagelsmann, so he's no longer retired from international football. Mats Hummels, which I think probably tells you all you need to know about the situation in terms of German international defenders.
We were talking about him before the game. It's almost as if he's been around for a long, long time, John. And then you've got Sula playing at right back, who looks anything but a right back, by the way.
Yeah, he's big and physical. Here's Schlotterbeck, and against Harry Kane and Bayern Munich here on Saturday, the Borussia Dortmund defence really struggled against the great talents that Munich have got. Here's Adeyemi through the middle, plays it square. Brandt now on his right foot, but shoots wastefully wide. Just took it into the area, but hit it wide and high into the fans in the yellow wall.
That's not great. Füllkrug does well. He's done well twice, actually. And one ended in a corner, the other one's ended up with the ball being let out to Brandt, who it opened up for him but couldn't get a shot on target. Lascelles has got to deal with Füllkrug in the air, otherwise the ball's going to be in the Newcastle half more often. That's 2 headers he's won already, John. Yep,
Füllkrug through the middle, just 2 goals for him in 11 appearances this season, not scored in his last 4. There was a suggestion he might be left out today. Sebastian Haller is there as well on the bench for Borussia Dortmund, but Füllkrug keeps his place. Brandt, who's currently on the right-hand side, and Adeyemi on the left, but they have already switched over during the course of this game, and it goes all the way back to goalkeeper Kobel, the Swiss international. And then Schlotterbeck had to turn that away past Livramento, but he did to Ryerson, the left back. And now Dortmund begin to bring the ball away from the edge of their own penalty area. Dortmund, former European champions back in 1997. Champions League finalists under Jurgen Klopp as well at Wembley in 2013, you might remember, against Bayern Munich. Long ball forward. Hall has got to chase this for Newcastle, but he does against Big Zula, who's absolutely towering over Lewis Hall. And Hall's done well and seen it out for a goal kick.
That's the old David and Goliath there. By the way, Schürrle, for all his bulk, he can run, John. He fairly opened his legs there. Lewis Hall again did a great job just shepherding the ball over the line. A bit of a mix and play from Dortmund, bit of a longer ball this time rather than playing through the midfield.
Yep, that's Neil Lennon with us here on 5 Live, and welcome as well to listeners on BBC Radio Newcastle who are with us this evening. You can listen to the commentary wherever you go on BBC Sounds, of course, as well, if you download the app. And I might just point out also that 5 Live Final Score is in operation tonight. The graphics from Final Score, the video print is on there as well. You'll find it via the red button on the iPlayer or the BBC Sport app. Just click on 5 Live Final Score and you'll get the 5 Live commentary alongside all of the graphics. Livramento trying to win the ball back, which he did, but in doing so it took it to Schlotterbeck, who was able to clear it. Livramento heading it on through the middle. Wilson battling for it, but Hummels is able to come across and take the ball away, and with his left foot played into the centre circle. Joe Linton jumps for it. Brandt plays it through to Füllkrug. Lewis Hall and Brandt together, shoulder to shoulder, arms flailing. Füllkrug went down. It's a yellow card. It's a free kick, and a yellow card for Hall after only 8 minutes. I think that's debatable.
I think that's very harsh, John. I think the kid's done brilliantly. I think the both of them are at it. You know, it's a nice reverse ball by Brandt out to Fulkrug. He's holding Hall. Hall's actually out-muscled him there for me. He's not really pulled him, and Fulkrug's made the most. Look, he's trying to get his hand across Hall. He's just held his ground, John. Fulkrug's gone down. That's an awful decision from the referee.
I think from the referee's perspective, Alejandro Hernandez, I think it was the fact that he was looking at it as they ran away from him.
Yeah, but the linesman's looking right at him as well, John, to be fair.
Great point.
So I feel sorry for Lewis Hall because he's actually started the game very well there.
Well, he's now got a challenge on his hands, hasn't he? Yellow card after 8 minutes on his European debut. And Fulkrug's gone down. I mean, he's suggesting that he might have injured his arm, and it's the old sponge.
He must have got nipped.
Got the sponge on it, so it's a dirty looking sponge as well.
He knows what he's doing, Fulkrug. He knows exactly what he's done there.
Fulkrug, who I mean, they call him Luca because of the gap in his teeth, which he actually lost. He lost one of his front teeth in the head of one of his teammates in a training session. But he obviously for the match, a bit like Joe Jordan, for those who remember, doesn't wear his false tooth for the match. Brandt plays this into the area, a stretch from Hall at the near post, which took it across the 6-yard box and beyond the far post, and that's behind for a corner to Dortmund, this time from the left-hand side.
Yeah, good high line there from Newcastle, although Hall gets first contact. Didn't get enough on it really to clear it properly, but it's good defender from Newcastle at the minute. They look pretty solid so far. Set play is a big part of the game though.
And as the German international, Brandt runs across with his blonde hair bobbing. As we see that behind him, all of the Dortmund fans in the stand bobbing, jumping up and down. Brandt takes the corner into the near post. It's bounced a long way. Pope came for it. The shouts for handball there. It was cleared away by Joe Linton, but the Dortmund players are suggesting that bounced up and hit the arm of a Newcastle player in the Newcastle box. Therefore, claims for a penalty. VAR will be looking. Brandt flicks the ball down the line with his instep. Ryerson does well. He gets the ball back on the left-hand side. Ryerson then plays it past Livramento, but Ryerson is straight into an offside position. And let's just see if the referee is going to have his attention brought by VAR.
I think it was Longstaff. The ball bounced, it skidded up. The pitch is quite quick, and it's quite hard underneath, even though there's a bit of give on the grass. But I think it skids up, and yeah, it's going between Willock and Longstaff. That's one they're going to have to look at.
The question here, they are looking at it. They're looking at it. The check is over, and it has been decided that Longstaff's arm was down by his side, which it was.
That's good.
So
you never know these days, Sean, do you?
Quick check. Well, we've already spoken on 5 Live tonight about the match last night, all of the shenanigans that were going on, which I was trying to keep in touch with as I was on a very slow train through the Ruhr Valley, passing places like Bochum and Essen and Wattenscheid, and just about managed to keep across what was going on. As the throw is taken by Dortmund, it's deflected out of play near the halfway line. 12 minutes played, Borussia Dortmund 0, Newcastle United 0, and what a night it is for Hall now. As a defender, having received a yellow card in a match like this is a real test of, well, all of your qualities.
Yeah, well, for me, the young lad's done nothing wrong, and I think he's defended his position very well so far. He's just going to have to stay on his feet and just be really, really careful. But he started the game very well from a defensive point of view.
Yep, but very well thought of. Really interesting to see where the game takes him. But this is good from Dortmund. Fulkrug with a shot, and it's saved by Pope. It's more or less straight at him, but that was through the middle for Dortmund. Fulkrug getting the ball back from Brandt on the edge of the area, hitting a shot from the edge of the D. Still it is Dortmund with a cross from the left-hand side. That's headed away by Bruno Guimaraes. Hummels wins the ball back. Now it's Ryerson, and then Brandt again. Brandt's appeared on the left-hand side again, so the coach, Edin Terzic, has switched them over. Adeyemi on the right now, and Brandt on the left, and Hummels, central defender, a long pass to the feet of Brandt, who controls it. Trippier's onto him quickly though, and Trippier wins the ball back for Newcastle United. And then Longstaff downfield, but he's given the ball straight to Schlotterbeck, and Schlotterbeck for Borussia Dortmund takes it on towards the edge of the penalty area. Then it's back centrally with Özcan, who's been deputising for the injured Emre Can, who actually, if you remember, injured himself at St James's Park and hasn't played since. There was a hope he might be back for this match, but not involved. And Dortmund go all the way back to the goalkeeper.
Just that moment, John, it was too easy for Dortmund to play through the midfield of Newcastle. It was 2 passes and then into Fulkrug he got a straight shot that it opened up. Nemecha picks up a great position beyond the midfield. If he's going to do that, then either Willock or Kamara or Longstaff, they're going to have to stop those passes getting through to them on the other side of the Newcastle midfield.
Champions League football on 5 Live, BBC Radio Newcastle. We're on early tonight, so if you've just switched on for Drive, we'll have all of the day's news for you at half-time. But commentary to come later. It's a double bill on 5 Live tonight. And later, live from the Metropolitano in Madrid, Ian Dennis and Pat Nevin are there and will bring you commentary on Celtic's crucial match there. One of your former clubs, of course, Neil. Such a big night for them. Real daunting prospect.
Yeah, they were excellent against Atletico at Celtic Park, so I'm hoping more of the same tonight. But you're right, John, it's a real difficult place to go.
Here come Dortmund on the left-hand side with Ryerson, still 0-0. Right-footed ball into the penalty area. Hall came across on the edge of the 6-yard box, headed it away for Newcastle. Comes out to Bruno Guimaraes outside of his boot, trying to hit one of those passes downfield for Wilson to latch onto. But Hummels was right on the shoulder of Wilson and just glided onto the ball and passed it back to his goalkeeper.
Well, the pattern of the game has changed now. You know, it's all Dortmund, and Newcastle are really struggling to get out. Just that action from Fulkrug with the shot has changed the rhythm of the game, and Dortmund well on top now.
Zula slipping the ball through into the penalty area to Sabitzer. Adeyemi's left foot shot, that's saved by Pope. It was close-ish to him, had to go down to his right and parry it away, and that's the second similar sort of save that Pope's had to make.
Yeah, that's what he's there for. He's going to be important tonight. We talked about him before the game. Adeyemi's cut inside, great shot with his left foot, but Pope, he's very good at making saves look easy, and that gives the Newcastle defence a lot of confidence. However, it's too easy at the minute, John, and Newcastle are struggling to get out of their own half now.
Yeah, this has got memories of Milan in the opening match in the Champions League for Newcastle when Nick Pope made, I think it was 8 saves in the end that night, when Milan had, I think, 25 attempts on goal and it ended 0-0. But Dortmund now are in their stride here. Borussia Dortmund 0, Newcastle United 0. But it's the German side, the runners-up in the Bundesliga last season, so dramatically on the final day, who are on top and in command. Here is Adeyemi, who's one of the 3 players who've come into the Borussia Dortmund side tonight. And then Willock miscontrols it near halfway, and it's a throw into Dortmund. And Newcastle are under pressure here.
Got to manage the game now, John. You know, the next 5-10 minutes, just try and get a hold of the ball, get some passes together, because it's just going straight back to Dortmund, and more at the minute Callum Wilson's getting isolated.
The other early kick-off, by the way, 2 matches starting early in the Champions League. Still Shakhtar Donetsk 0, Barcelona 0. Barcelona, a bit like Manchester City, with 9 points out of 9. That match, like all of Shakhtar Donetsk games in the group stage, is being played here in Germany, in Hamburg. Borussia Dortmund 0, Newcastle United 0. And Newcastle have got a goal kick and are in no hurry here. Nick Pope will have to be careful. Referee Hernandez will be on to him, I'm sure, if there's any suggestion that Newcastle are trying to slow the game down. Joe Linton with the bleach blonde hair played such an important role in that goal on Saturday night. Ball across from Longstaff. Trippier couldn't control that, and it's out of play for a throw-in to Borussia Dortmund.
Little things like that, John, that add up, you know, and then the pressure starts to build. You know, they worked it out really well from left to right, and then they've just given it away cheaply. Yeah,
they've not been on it so far, Newcastle. There are too many little errors. Hall with Adeyemi challenging for it. The young fair-haired Hall, just 19 years old, gets his head to it, does well, and now Longstaff plays it back towards the edge of the penalty area. Longstaff gets it again on the right-hand side. For to Livramento. Livramento turns, gives it nicely to Trippier. Trippier now for Livramento, but Schlotterbeck steps forward and takes it away from Livramento, and Borussia Dortmund are back in possession again, going back to their goalkeeper. So Kobel, all in orange, down to our right. We're about halfway up the stadium where we're sitting here. I remember on occasions being further down, where you feel really close to the action. I remember being here for the World Cup semi-final, no less, when Germany lost to Italy. That was an amazing night. Back it comes towards Schlotterbeck, forward towards Sabitzer. An important part for Manchester United. Erik ten Hag's Manchester United last season, remember Sabitzer. Now here as part of the Borussia Dortmund side, who agonisingly missed out. I was going back, I know you were as well, what happened to Dortmund on the final day of the season, where if they'd beaten Mainz here, they would have won the league and denied Bayern Munich. The ball through the middle, Füllkrug wins it again, Brandt tries to give it back to him, but Newcastle have got too many green shirts in there. But Newcastle have got it back, and Füllkrug causing problems again.
Yeah, it's a worry for me that, it's just one straight ball from the goalkeeper. Brandt just makes a little run off him and he gets a touch to him, and they're able to play in the second third of the pitch quite easily. Got to deal with Füllkrug better.
I think the other thing as well is after Borussia Dortmund lost here in the way that they did, I think their supporters in this ground, and of course the players themselves, the coach, demanding a response to that. And they've got that look about them. There's a feeling that they want to put the record right after being embarrassed at the weekend.
Yeah, it was a big loss to them, and again you're worrying about that Indian saying Bayern Munich have over them. You know what I mean, John, with losing the league the way they did as you were talking about earlier, on the last day of the season.
Now Joe Linton is able to angle the ball to Joe Linton, to Willock. Willock wants to give it back to Joe Linton. In fact, the ball goes long, but too long, over the top of Callum Wilson, and it's all the way through beyond the far post as he looked at it for a goal kick. But nicely done, Joe Linton and Willock together.
Yeah, very good. Lovely ball in from Hall. Nice first time layoff from Joe Linton to Willock, and he was a little bit over, hit the cross, but better from Newcastle. I think Eddie will be happy enough. It's 0-0. He's still got good assets on the bench to come on, and he will know he has to weather a bit of a storm, because you're away from home against a quality side. If they can win 0-0 at half time, he'll be delighted.
Yep.
But just got to keep the concentration and stop them playing through the midfield, and then get a grip of Füllkrug.
And that's what it is. That's the voice of Neil Lennon with us here in Germany. Borussia Dortmund 0, Newcastle United 0, with 20 minutes played. Pope's already made a couple of saves. Long ball from Hummels, but that's beyond Adeyemi's run, and it bounces through to Nick Pope, who will underarm the ball to Lascelles, the Newcastle United captain. Longstaff curls a long ball forward for Wilson to chase. He's got a touch on that, but Hummels went with him, got the ball, got a little bit of Wilson as well, but Hummels puts it behind, and Newcastle have got their first corner.
Brilliant. I think that's what worked from the training ground. Square ball from Trippier into Longstaff, and a first time ball round the corner for the run of Wilson, and he's got the legs on Hummels, and he just did enough to get the corner. Now you can take your time, set it up, see if we can nick a goal here.
So Trippier has walked forward, one of the most important figures at Newcastle United currently, Kieran Trippier, on and off the field. And the England international takes it into the penalty area to Hall. A flick from Hall. Trippier drives it across the 6-yard box, but it actually hit, I think, Schlotterbeck on the edge of the 6-yard area, bounced away, and then it's headed further away by Özcan. Comes back, Özcan again with a header for Dortmund, but Hall's in there again. Adeyemi gets a foot on that. Then it's played forward up towards Füllkrug, who's 10 yards inside his own half, but heavy touch. That's given it back to Newcastle United, and then Trippier calmly just knocks it back to Lascelles.
John, I can't believe they haven't scored. It's a brilliantly worked set play. It's one of Eddie's old ones. A short ball in, Hall takes it inside, then reverse back, heels it, the oncoming Trippier. He slides it across the face of the goal, and it's begging for someone to tap it in. Hopefully that'll change the rhythm of the game in Newcastle's favour. It was brilliantly worked and deserved the goal.
Yep. But instead he sort of drove it across, didn't he, Trippier?
Yeah, I thought he might have picked somebody out, or maybe somebody just gambled and only needed a touch, John.
Yeah.
But it was brilliantly worked.
With that kind of hope that maybe it would deflect in off someone in the 6-yard box, but it deflected away off, I think, Schlotterbeck, and it remains 0-0. Newcastle come again, Livramento trying to win it back, but Dortmund just get a touch to it first. Now here's Sabitzer rolling his foot over the ball twice and then touching it back to Schlotterbeck near the edge of his penalty area. They've got great versatility, these two young, well, we'll call them fullbacks, Livramento and Hall, but I mean, Hall can play further forward, Livramento can play further back. They're and at a time like this, when Newcastle are really stretched because of the absentees, they're two very important players, even though really inexperienced, as Adeyemi plays the ball back to Özcan with a bit of space. The Dortmund number 6 picks out the pass to Ryerson slips it through to Adeyemi on the left. He drags it back to the edge of the penalty area, but all he does is find Willock there in green, but Özcan has got it back for Dortmund. Important touch on that from Bruno Guimaraes. Wilson's come all the way back into his own defensive third. He's actually running down into the right back position, and he's been followed all the way there by Hummels, the central defender, who's followed Wilson everywhere, and now he's fouled him, and it's a free kick to Newcastle.
He's done very well there, Callum. He's bought the foul. He didn't have many options. He just held it up and just invited Hummels in to take the free kick. You know, what's the difference between that and Lewis Hall's challenge, Sean? I don't get it. One's a yellow card and one's not. That just, you know, for me, the yellow card on Lewis Hall was very, very harsh. And going back to your point about Lewis Hall and Livramento, I've been really impressed with Livramento when I've seen him this season. He's been against Manchester City and Man United in the League Cup. He's been superb.
Yeah, I know he's been mentioned by Gareth Southgate, you know, back in his time at Southampton, but then of course had that really nasty injury that put him out of the game for such a long time. But the signs are promising in his early forays in a Newcastle United shirt. It is goalless. Fabian Schär through the middle. Joe Linton does ever so well, really, jumping for the ball to sort of flick it out behind him to Willock on the left-hand side, and then in slides the defender, but I think the final touch must have been off Willock, and it's behind for a goal kick.
Has the ball gone out, Joe?
Or did it go?
I didn't see the linesman put his flag up there.
Oh, okay. It's a throw-in, yep. So Willock didn't keep it in on the far side. More Joe Willock controversy about keeping the ball in. 25 minutes played here in Germany, in the magnificent Westfalenstadion, with the rhythm being beaten out by the Borussia Dortmund supporters to our left. You can see the stadium from miles around, those big metal, it's almost like a sort of praying mantis, the tops of the stands, those yellow metalwork. Dortmund coming through the middle, flicked by Sabitzer. Füllkrug heads it down. Sabitzer's onto this, works it across. Füllkrug, 1-0 Dortmund in the 6-yard box with his left foot, and Dortmund right through the middle of Newcastle United to take the lead. This is a tough assignment for Newcastle that has just got a good deal harder. Borussia Dortmund 1, Newcastle United 0.
I think they're a bit unfortunate. Newcastle was a couple of ricochets, really. One came off Shaw and bounced in favour of, I think it was Brand, and then there's a little bit of pinball on the edge of the box. So the ball goes forward from Schottenbeck, but Shaw read the pass well, but it rebounds back to Sabitzer or Brand, and they were able to build the play from there. Yeah, it comes through, it goes into Füllkrug, another ricochet, another touch, little flick from Sabitzer. Hall gets his body there across Sabitzer, but can't stop the cross, and that's what he has to do better. He should have stopped the cross from Sabitzer. It's pulled back and Füllkrug gets across Trippier to score. So you can't say it's been coming. There's been a bit of good fortune about the goal, but now they've found themselves a goal down. They're going to have to dig in here a little bit now, and maybe Eddie has to think about half time.
Tidy finish, and right in front of us here we've got all sorts of, it's like confetti coming down. They're like white paper discs. In fact, I tell you what they are, they look like coasters. They're coasters. So people up above us, presumably in the posh seats with their coasters for their glasses of whatever, have thrown them all out, so they fluttering down in front of us as part of the celebrations. But Füllkrug scoring the goal and sparking those celebrations. Tidy finish, sharp finish actually on his left foot, middle of the goal, his first in 5 appearances. He was desperate for one, and you can hear what that's done to the atmosphere inside this stadium. Borussia Dortmund 1-0 winners against Newcastle a fortnight ago at St James's Park, and now 1-0 up again.
It's a really important phase of the game now, John, for Newcastle. They've got to, whatever momentum there is, they've got to face it, they've got to ride it out, and try and get some passes in, try and build a bit of momentum themselves, but they've just got to weather this little bit of a storm. It's probably going to come.
So 1-0 Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund tried and tested Champions League performers, really. Mentioned the fact they won the competition when your old teammate Paul Lambert was such an important part of things here in this great arena. Joe Linton on the halfway line finds Hall. Hall pushing forward, that's what Eddie Howe will want him to do. Couldn't find the pass to Wilson on the edge of the box. Schlotterbeck was able to stretch out a left leg, but Newcastle pick up possession again. Joe Linton back centrally to Guimarães, square from him to Trippier. Newcastle looking for a quick response. Livramento on the right hand side. Livramento's ball into Guimarães, back it comes to the right to Trippier. Trippier with a cross towards the back post. Joe Linton, it was over his head, it bounces all the way to Willock on the left hand side. Willock against Adeyemi, he gives it back to Lewis Hall. Hall whips in the cross onto the head of Schlotterbeck, who heads it down and away for Borussia Dortmund, and then cleared away by Niklas Süle for the home side. But better from Newcastle.
But much better. They've worked the ball both into wide areas. Good cross in from Trippier, just a little bit too high. Great ball back in from Hall. A little bit of pressure now. This is a good response.
Almost half an hour played, and Borussia Dortmund in front. So Newcastle, knowing they have to get something here, well, now they know that they have to score. They have to score what would be their first away goal in the Champions League for 20 years. Long ball forward for Willock, which didn't run into his path. Hummels was able to come across and just got there at the same time as the ball came down, and it was Hummels, the veteran German defender, who got the crucial touch.
John, that was outstanding football all round. Great ball from Lascelles, great run into Willock, but Hummels read the danger brilliantly, stayed on his feet and intercepted it. Otherwise Willock was in on goal. Great response from Newcastle, very good.
Yeah, real test this for Eddie Howe's side in a week over the course of the last 7 days, when they've gone and won at Old Trafford with effectively the second team. Only the second time that they'd won there against Manchester United since 1972, and then on Saturday became the first team to beat Arsenal in the Premier League this season. It would be quite a treble if they're able to get a result here as well, but they're up against it. But the response since going behind has been good, and here they come again, playing from left to right. Trippier's ball in, a little touch from Willock centrally. Bruno Guimaraes picks out the pass. Livramento's first time volley across hits the first man, Ryerson, and bounces behind off the left back for a corner.
Best spell of the game for Newcastle. Wonderful ball with outside of his foot from Guimaraes to Livramento, and really well defended by Reverson at the far post. Another corner. They almost scored from the last one, and these are really important in the game, John.
Newcastle supporters in that corner, several of them bare-chested. That large man with NUFC tattooed across the front of his body. We saw him before the game. He was one of the first in, actually, to claim his place. They're all cheering and applauding Trippier, who's ready to take this. The assistant has just told him that he has to just stop because of the movement in the box. Trippier takes the corner for Newcastle. It's headed goalwards by Scher, but he was backing away. No real power on that, and it just dropped into the gloves of Kobel, the goalkeeper.
Yeah, he was always coming away from him, and he just couldn't get enough purchase. But again, good first contact in the box, and like we said, it's exactly the response that he would have been looking for since conceding the goal. We're 30 minutes into the game now, and this is the best spell for Newcastle.
It is, but 1-0 down. This is the first of our midweek Champions League commentaries. Later tonight we'll be with Manchester City at home to Young Boys, but the commentary is Atletico Madrid against Celtic, and then tomorrow night Vicky Sparks and Matt Upson will bring you Arsenal against Sevilla from the Emirates. But also John Southall is travelling with Manchester United to Copenhagen, so we'll be there in Copenhagen with Manchester United too tomorrow night. But here, 1-0 down Newcastle. Trippier brings it down on the halfway line, just a few yards away from where Edin Terzic, the Borussia Dortmund coach, stands. Such a great relationship he's got, because he used to be a Borussia Dortmund fan in the South Tribune. That's where he used to watch him. He was born just 20 miles away from Dortmund, Terzic, and now as the coach, watching his team leading here against Newcastle United. Here's Longstaff near the centre circle. Wonder whether he's maybe got a chance of being in the England squad on Thursday.
I was just going to ask you that. You know, he's been such a consistent player for Newcastle this season.
Yeah, I have to say, I think he's got a chance. Trippier playing it forward towards Longstaff, back heels it behind Livramento, and that means Dortmund are going to be off here, and Newcastle committing players downfield, and so as it's brought forward by Ryerson, who gives it to Brandt, and Brandt on the left wing cuts back, then with his right foot plays it actually slightly behind Sabitzer with that crouching style of his that we became familiar with when he was at Manchester United. Now to the right hand side, and big Zula tries to play it into Sabitzer, but Bruno Guimaraes managed to get there ahead of him. Sabitzer suggesting that he was fouled. Bruno Guimaraes, by the way, is a yellow card away from suspension in the Champions League as well. He will be suspended at the weekend when Newcastle go to Bournemouth. That's a 5 Live commentary this weekend, by the way. Newcastle's next match, Bournemouth against Newcastle. It'll be on Radio Newcastle as well, I would imagine. Here is Joe Linton playing it infield towards Willock. Willock back to Scher in central defence. So Newcastle, who've since conceding the goal, Borussia Dortmund have kind of stepped out off it, or maybe Newcastle have stepped up to it?
Bit of both, really. I think maybe now they're just happy to sit in their shape and counter-attack, but Newcastle are definitely having more possession, but they're a dangerous team. They're very slick, you know, and you need to keep your concentration against this team because they move the ball so quickly in the final third.
Dortmund leading through Nicholas Füllkrug's goal, the German World Cup player. Here is Adeyemi on the right hand side. Adeyemi up against Hall, goes past him. Hall presumably conscious of the fact that he is yellow carded. He couldn't afford to block Adeyemi's progress, but the cover was there from Cher, and then there's a foul on Joe Linton near the halfway line, and Newcastle have got a free kick. Good
play from Joe Linton, just again sucked in the defender, just invited him in to take the foul. Gives not under massive pressure at the minute, Newcastle. You just like to see them maybe a bit more urgency now with the ball. They've got sort of a bit of territory. You're talking about Guimaraes, you don't want to lose him for any of these Champions League games, John, because he's such an influential player for them.
And Newcastle mentioned the fact that, you know, the lack of bodies as much as anything else on the bench, and the inexperience, and of course Matt Ritchie and Emil Kraft were not named in the Champions League squad. That's why they're not amongst the subs tonight. Brandt for Dortmund. Oh, nice ball. Now in Nemecha, through to Zula on the right hand side, back across, Sabitzer on the edge of the penalty area, got underneath the shot, holds his head as it flies over the top of Nick Pope's crossbar by 4 or 5 yards.
Yeah, just talking about how slick they are, John, in the final third, and that was a great move. Nemecha takes up some brilliant positions, you know, beyond the midfield three of Newcastle, and he gets on the half turn, and his rate of pass is brilliant. Nice ball in from Zula to Sabitzer. He should have hit the target. We're seeing the goal again, and I just think Lewis Hall should stop the cross, really, but they've got a couple of lucky breaks to get into that position in the first place, so Newcastle can feel a little bit unfortunate that they're goal down here at the minute, because Dortmund have had the shots. I think from the corner Newcastle had the best chance of the game so far.
Yeah, and they've had a lot of joy, Dortmund, right through the middle. Ball over the top for Newcastle. Joe Linton got a touch on it, but not enough of a touch, and it ran through to goalkeeper Coble.
What's a chance, John? What's a ball by Fabian Schär, and Joe Linton's totally missed the ball. He's clean through. He's made a fantastic run. The timing of the run, the timing of the pass is perfect, and he would have been clean through. He's just got to control that. We could have been looking at one each, but what a ball by Schär.
As there is a foul by Füllkrug on Cher near the halfway line, and the referee calls across Füllkrug, who is admonished by the referee as he cowers over him, and it's a free kick to Newcastle.
He's a bit old school, isn't he, Füllkrug?
Yeah, very. Very old
You like
school.
that, John, yeah?
I do, actually. Yeah. The thing is, he's the kind of centre forward that, well, I mean, as you say, old school. It's actually not often that teams come up against a challenge like him. There's Hall, enforced error from Hall on his European debut, passing the ball out of play behind Joe Linton. It's been a tough, well, we knew it would be tough tonight. It had to. It could only be tough for Hall and Livramento, but particularly Hall in the defensive role. Throw in, Füllkrug heads it out to the right hand side. Nemecha plays it forward to Adeyemi, who is able to control it and get the ball all the way across here to the left hand side where Ryerson's onto this. Ryerson will curl it back in right footed. I think that's the wrong option. It is easily caught by Nick Pope. There were players coming through in the yellow shirts for Dortmund, and Nick Pope long downfield, but that's easily headed
You don't need that either.
No, given away, and then fouled by Bruno Guimaraes on Özcan. That was verging on a yellow. It's a free kick, that's all. And I think referee Hernandez is going to give Bruno Guimaraes what might be a last warning.
Yeah, the benefit of the doubt for sure. You know, he's lucky there. He's just got to keep the composure here. And again, Nick Pope, he's done well. He's come, made a couple of good saves. He's come taking the cross, just settle it down, Nick. You know, he's trying to release Joe Linton, but he's never on. The ball comes back to Newcastle again.
That's Neil Lennon with us, Celtic manager, Celtic player in the knockout stages of the Champions League. Played a European final, of course, as well with Chris Sutton in the UEFA Cup final. That extraordinary final in Seville. As the ball bounces up, shouts for a handball against, I think, Longstaff, bounces away, and then a free kick's given for a foul on Bruno Guimaraes, and you can hear the reaction The home supporters feel that should have been a handball Dortmund's way. That's what Newcastle are up against, but it's a free kick to the visitors.
Hey, the decibel level just went up a notch there, did it not? You know, that's just for a handball as well.
Livramento it was actually, bounced up into.
And then Sabitzer leaves one on Guimaraes.
Newcastle, Joe Linton playing it down the line. Here's Hall, he's onto it there. He's up against Hummels, who steps in, takes the ball and stops Hall's progress. He's hardly put a foot wrong, Hummels, so far tonight. Here's Joe Linton again on the left-hand side though, as Newcastle try to come from a goal down. Joe Linton bounced up, his cross is over both Newcastle players in the box, and Ryerson's able to take it down for Dortmund and clear out of play.
Good play from Joe Linton, good play from Hall as well. If he'd got a head up early, Wilson was in, but he just didn't get the cross in quickly enough. So they still look dangerous, John. You know, Newcastle, when they get it forward, and you know, Willock and Joe Linton are giving them plenty of things to think about on that left-hand side.
So still 1-0 Borussia Dortmund, as another free kick goes Newcastle's way, much to the frustration of Nemecha and Brandt. Free kick 15 yards inside the Dortmund half, just conscious of the fact that you might be switching on to hear the day's news on 5 Live on Drive with Tony and Claire, who were with us earlier, but we will have a full roundup of the day's news at half-time, which is not too far away, 5 minutes plus added time. Trippier waiting to take this free kick. Jason Tindall just coming out of the coaching area with some instructions not far away from him. Trippier glances at him, he's taken it in. Trippier plays it low and short. Bruno Guimaraes over the top, but I'm not sure Willock will reach that. He won't. The ball bounces all the way through for a goal kick to Dortmund.
Just a little bit over elaborate with that one. It was never on really, and sometimes you just want Kieran with his quality just to whip it in there and give the big boys a chance of getting their heads on it. But again, there's a nice variety to the way they're thinking, so they're not being totally negative about the game, they're being as positive as they can.
Shakhtar Donetsk have taken the lead against Barcelona. It's 1-0 in that other 5:45 kickoff here in Germany, up in Hamburg. Borussia Dortmund 1, Newcastle United 0. Newcastle, who have got to go to Paris next to play PSG, and then the final match at home against Milan, which has got an extra dimension to it as well, I think, since the whole Sandro Tonali business. Here is Füllkrug through the middle. Nemecha is onto this. Nemecha turns, long and leggy, the former Manchester City youngster. That was his first and still only goal for Borussia Dortmund so far. The only goal that was scored when they met on Tyneside a fortnight ago. Here's Hummels again. Hummels looks up, faces the action. 482 appearances for Borussia Dortmund now for Mats Hummels. Spent so much of his career at Bayern Munich too, as Longstaff is into the challenge, halfway inside his own half. Plays it to Bruno Guimaraes. Trippier's given it away. Sabitzer turns against him. Adeyemi takes it on. Adeyemi weaving his way past Livramento and Longstaff, and then finding the ball to Brandt on the edge of the penalty area, but Brandt couldn't give him it back, and Trippier was actually able to stretch in and take it away, and then Livramento up to the halfway line. Might have been tripped. He was tripped by Nemecha, and it's a free kick to Newcastle almost on the halfway line.
That's fantastic work from Livramento. I think he ran past 3. The 2 of them are hanging off him, and in the end I think it's Nemecha makes the foul on him, and it was a foul. It was great work from Livramento to get his team up the pitch there.
It's been like a half of 2 halves this, hasn't it?
Yes, very much
up until Dortmund took the lead in the 26th minute, and then since then Newcastle have really settled into the game strangely, and that was excellent from Livramento. Newcastle take that free kick short. 2.5 minutes of the first 45 to go. Schär under pressure from Brandt, right-footed ball, but that's beyond Longstaff, and just bounces through to goalkeeper Kobel again, as Hummels receives it and then is carrying the ball towards the halfway line, but Willock comes across, so Sabitzer has possession, and this is some patient stuff from Dortmund with half-time not far away, and I think that tells its own story in the way that Newcastle have come back into the game, that Dortmund are quite happy just to slow things down. Hummels again, under no particular pressure, crosses the halfway line with the ball, and then with his left foot angles it towards the right-hand side, where Zula plays it infield, but Cher steps forward. Now Joe Linton on the left-hand side got his legs taken away from him, and that's another cheap free kick. Zula with the foul, free kick to Newcastle.
Oh, look, the booking to me, he took his legs away. He had no intention of playing the ball there. But how good has Humble's been? He's been really impressive, John. He's making defending look easy tonight so far.
You can see why. You can see why he's back in the Germany squad under Nagelsmann. Here's Longstaff now on the right-hand side, slips the ball down the line into the full-back position. Livramento went for the first-time cross on the twist that hit it straight into Schlotterbeck, and it bounced behind into the hoardings in front of the Newcastle fans, who I presume are singing Kino. He's
a bit of a cult hero there with the fans.
Yeah. Valentino out for a corner for Newcastle from the right. So there's been some real invention from Newcastle set pieces so far in this match. Let's see what they've got here. Trippier with the outswinger from the right hand side. This time it's a delivery towards the back post where it's headed down and across. Joe Linton with a header, but diving to his right. Kobel is able to catch the ball because it didn't really have enough power on it from 10 yards.
Joe, well, it's unlucky, John. It's really well worked again. The movement's great. The delivery from Trippier is beautiful. It's pinged over to the back post. Lascelles free header down. It's into the ground and bounces up. Joe Linton gets a head on it, but you're right, just couldn't get enough power on it. But it's another decent chance for Newcastle.
And here they come again, maybe making another one. 1 minute only at the end of the first half is added on. Longstaff is now bundled over, and that's another free kick. This latter part of the match, there have been so many free kicks for little fouls.
Well, Sabitzer's lucky he's not booked. That's 2 or 3 now, and that's a deliberate foul, John.
Yeah.
You know, and it has got a bit bitty, but it's all coming from the Dortmund side of things.
Free kick then, forward and right of the centre circle. Big moments these, because Newcastle are threatening, even though they're 1-0 down, and we're in added time at the end of the first half. That Nicholas Fulkrug goal, the difference between the sides. A high line, not as high as Tottenham, but it's a high line that Dortmund are holding here. Trippier plays it in, up and headed away by Schlotterbeck, and he's headed it to Brandt, and Julian Brandt now over the halfway line. Joe Linton trying to catch him, might have flicked his heels. Oh, the ball has bounced off Lascelles, and it actually bounced to Sabitzer, who couldn't take the ball into his path. However, Sabitzer plays it into the penalty area anyway, and the header away, and that is the last action of the first half. Fabian Scher's defensive header, and Borussia Dortmund lead through that Fulkrug goal, and Newcastle in this match where really they need to get something, are 1-0 down at half-time. Neil Lennon.
Yeah, really good game, high octane stuff from both teams. Yeah, slick team, Borussia Dortmund, particularly in the final third. But Newcastle right in this. They've had a couple of great chances themselves. Nothing much in it, but they've had the breakthrough, Dortmund. And Eddie, he'll have a bit of thinking to do at half-time on, changes. He's got Almiron, he's got Gordon. But he'd be, I'll not say he'd be happy, but he probably did. When you make that jeopardy of putting in a defensive team, you go a goal down, then you got to get the players on maybe at half-time just to pep things up a bit in attack.
So there we are. The Signal Iduna Arena can have a breather after that. That was quite. Emotions were running high throughout that first half, and at half-time we've got another shower of paper coaster confetti coming down from all around us in the stands. And at the break here, it's Borussia Dortmund 1, Newcastle United 0.
As long as it's not snow, John, you'll be relatively comfortable there in Dortmund at this time of year.
Yeah, I can cope with paper confetti.
Just paper confetti will do. But Neil, look, as you've been saying to John, Borussia Dortmund with the better of it really in the first half, but just about enough there from Newcastle to suggest that maybe with a couple of tweaks they could get something from this game.
Oh, no question, Kelly. They've had two great. The corner they worked was brilliant, and it only needed someone to gamble on Trippier's cross and tap it in. And then the one, Joe Linton made a great run on a straight ball from Schär, and if he controls it, he's clean through 30 yards clear of everyone else. They are a little bit slick, Dortmund, in the final third, and they do have problems at times. Newcastle was stopping balls in between the lines. They play very much Dortmund like an old Man City, Pep Guardiola team. That 4-3-3. They're very slick going forward. They got a bit of a break, I thought, with the goal. There was a couple of ricochets that fell their favour, and Hall didn't stop the pullback from Sabitzer. So it's really they've been easier on the eye, Dortmund. There's not been much between the teams, and Eddie will be encouraged enough to think they can get something out of this in the second half.
Neil, for now, thank you very much. Neil Lennon and John Murray in Dortmund for Borussia Dortmund against Newcastle, with the home side leading by 1-0. Coming up, we're going to be live in Spain as we look ahead to our second commentary game as well. Celtic preparing to face Atletico Madrid. Before that, though, here's the news on 5 Live with Lisa McCormack.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Kelly. The King has opened Parliament for the first time since becoming monarch, sitting out the government's legislative programme for the months ahead. There were 21 bills in total, with a focus on the criminal justice system, housing and the economy. The leader of the Green Party, Caroline Lucas, says she's disappointed with the lack of environmental commitments.
He pretends that new oil and gas licences will somehow guarantee our energy security when he knows that oil and gas is sold on international markets to the highest bidder. He pretends it's going to get people's bills down, yet his own Secretary of State for Energy has said that it will not get people's bills down. So when is he going to stop governing by gimmick?
A 15-year-old boy is in a critical condition after a suspected stabbing near a school in Leeds. Police were called to Town Street in Horsforth at around 3 o'clock this afternoon. Another teenage boy was arrested. The World Health Organization says there have been more than 100 strikes in health facilities in Gaza since the conflict with Israel started a month ago. Israel insists its actions are legitimate and has accused Hamas of mounting attacks from hospitals and ambulances. Christian Lindmeier is a spokesperson for the WHO. He spoke at a press conference in Geneva.
An average of about 160 children are killed every day. Nothing justifies the horror being endured by the civilians in Gaza. People in Gaza are dying in their thousands, and those alive are suffering from trauma, disease, lack of food and water.
Israel's been holding a day of memorials to mark 1 month since the Hamas attacks, in which 1,400 people were killed. Crowds lit candles and a minute's silence was held across the country. And one of Boris Johnson's closest aides has confirmed to the COVID inquiry that he had offered to be injected with coronavirus on live TV to prove that it didn't pose a threat to the public. The former Prime Minister made the remark before the disease led to a crisis in Italian hospitals.
The latest travel and the M74. So on the southbound side approaching the M8, there's been an accident. There are 2 lanes closed. The M6 in Lancashire heading south at 31 for Salisbury, all open now after the accident there. But the traffic's backing up onto the M55 to Junction 1. The M62 westbound towards Manchester, queuing from Rochdale. And at Hayward at Junction 19, there's flooding in one of the lanes. M1 and a breakdown northbound at 30 at Worksop. A broken down van there. Northbound queues on the M6 in Warwickshire. Corley services through to the M42, it's queuing there, heading towards Coleshill for 4 miles. M25 looking slow now because all traffic's held near the A12 at Junction 28 at Brentwood on the clockwise side. Warner Merchant, 5 Live Travel.
On BBC Sounds.
I'm Ringo and I play the drums.
I'm Paul and I play bass.
I'm George and I play a guitar.
I'm John and I too play a guitar. Sometimes I play the fool.
Marking the release of their final ever single, this is the story of how the Fab Four came to be, with newly unearthed archive rediscovered after 60 years and brand new interviews with Paul McCartney.
It was, wow, this is it. Now it's a Beatle record.
And Ringo Starr.
It blows me away that every generation listens to the Beatles.
Eras, the Beatles, with me, Martin Freeman. Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live, your football station.
The UEFA Champions League
With Kelly Cates.
Hello, coming up, we're going to bring you the second half of Dortmund against Newcastle in the Champions League. It's 1-0 to the home side there. And the live sport continues this evening. Our next commentary is Atletico Madrid against Celtic. That one gets underway at 8 o'clock. And in Madrid for us, Ian Dennis and Pat Nevin. Good evening to both of you. Deno, how is it in Madrid? Is it getting busy around the stadium?
It's, how would they say it over here? Muy frío.
It's cold.
It's a little cold. It's about 3 degrees tonight. So it's but the stadium the atmosphere is building up outside, and the stadium gates have just opened. So I think the official allocation from Celtic is just under 3,500. So already we can see the Celtic flags that are being lined up over in high up away towards our left-hand side, and they're hoping to see their side. Well, they have to get something, Kelly. I mean, ideally they'd need 3 points, but even Brendan Rodgers admitted last night in the press conference they need to get something from this game to keep any hopes of progressing into Europe into the new year.
Yeah, it's looking very tricky for them in that Champions League group, but their only point so far has been that draw against Atletico at Celtic Park. Pat, how much harder is it going to be for them to try and get anything away from home?
I think everybody knows it is that much harder when you play Champions League football against anyone, but then it's against a very good team who are generally very good in this huge stadium with the noise that they're going to have behind them. They need to win this as well. A draw is not what they're looking for, because it's a very, very tight group. You look at Feyenoord, 6 points, Atleti on 5 and Lazio on 4. So Celtic aren't going to get a team that are going to come soft on them tonight, but maybe that's the one hope that they've got, that Atletico Madrid will attack, and maybe chances that Celtic can do some damage in the break. But it's a long shot. Every Celtic fan I've talked to on the way over here has felt it's been a long shot. However, it's not impossible. Remember, at the weekend, Las Palmas managed to beat Atleti, not here, but managed to beat them, so it's not impossible.
They are beatable, and Celtic will be hoping to do exactly that, or failing that, to get a point from this game. Brendan Rodgers said his side are improving throughout the competition. We'll see how far they have progressed against Atletico Madrid. Kick-off there is at 8 o'clock. We'll be back with Pat and with Ian a little bit later on. So commentary of that one at 8, and updates as well of Manchester City against Young Boys. At the Etihad for us this evening, Conor McNamara and Manchester City could book their place nice and early.
Yes, hi Kelly. I think it would be very convenient, wouldn't it, for Manchester City going into the rest of November, through December, the festive period, all that busy, heavy congestion to come. If they could just concentrate on domestic matters and not have to worry about the Champions League until the knockout stages begin in February. So a City win tonight will secure their passage with 2 games to spare. Even if City were to draw here at home against Young Boys, that might still put them through tonight if Red Star Belgrade don't win their game against Leipzig. We don't have the team news yet. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff, but the big question for Manchester City is, does Erling Haaland start? He was taken off at half-time against Bournemouth at the weekend. He had an injury problem. Pep Guardiola said they were going to assess his participation in training yesterday. Now, you might look at the forthcoming league games. City's next 3 league games are all high profile. They play against Chelsea, they play against Liverpool, they play against Tottenham, and you might think, well, maybe let's just rest Haaland tonight. However, this is his competition. This is the Champions League. Haaland's got 37 goals in 33 games. He's chasing all sorts of records, and I think Erling Haaland will see tonight as an opportunity to get a few more in that regard. If he's any chance of playing, he'll want to be involved.
Yeah, you can argue it both ways, can't you, Conor? But Erling Haaland will want to add to his tally in this competition for sure. We'll see whether he does play. Conor McNamara will bring his team news from the Etihad ahead of that 8 o'clock kickoff, and then he'll bring us regular updates from the game itself. There's a match in the Championship tonight as well. Rotherham United, inside the bottom 3, take on Ipswich, who are just 4 points off the top. And across this one for us, it's Naz Premji. Hi, Naz.
Evening, Kelly. Yes, a real top v bottom clash here. Rotherham 5 points adrift of that safety mark. An Ipswich side who missed the chance to close the gap further on Leicester at the Summit by only drawing at Birmingham. Kieran McKenna's side, though, unbeaten on the road, 5 victories and 2 draws. So this could be a tough night for Matt Taylor's team. We expect a few changes to both sides. Marcus Harness came off the bench at the weekend for Ipswich and scored a brace, and Dane Scarlett, the Tottenham loanee, who also impressed off the bench. Those two could start. Rotherham savaged by a few injuries. Don't expect too many alterations from the home side. 8 years ago today, Kelly, I was sat in this very seat watching a 7-goal thriller. So I'm hoping history repeats itself. We kick off here at 8 o'clock.
Well, it's certainly an encouraging omen if you're looking for one, Naz. We'll look forward to hearing from you in that one. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff, as is St Johnstone against Motherwell in the Scottish Premiership, so we'll keep you across that score as well. Elsewhere today, Australia beat Afghanistan in dramatic fashion to book their place in the semi-finals of the Cricket World Cup.
Majid, 287 for 7. Bowls to Maxwell, who hits him. Over square leg for 6. It is a double century for Glenn Maxwell in one-day international cricket. Australia win by 3 wickets in the most extraordinary game of one-day international cricket you could ever see.
That was, as you heard, Australia's Glenn Maxwell hitting the winning 6. He ended on 201 not out. His knock all the more dramatic because he arrived at the crease with Australia struggling on 91 for 7 and chasing 292 to win. He reached his double century despite having cramp and being unable to run between the wickets.
Glenn, first things first, physically, how are you doing?
Horrific. I feel shocking. Yeah, it was obviously quite hot when we were fielding today, and I haven't really done a whole lot of high intensity exercise, I suppose, in the heat, and it certainly got a hold of me today. And just luckily enough, we came out with a plan to sort of stay at the same end for a little bit until I could sort of get some movement back, and luckily enough I was able to stick it out to the end.
We already saw a record-breaking 100 from you in the tournament against the Netherlands. Slightly different situation, of course. How does this 100 rank in your career?
Yeah, look, it would have been nice if it was chanceless, but I certainly had my chances. I led a charmed life out there. I was very lucky, and I suppose just made the most of that. I feel like I've had those types of innings before where I've given a chance and I haven't made the most of it. So to make the most of it and go on with it tonight is probably the most pleasing thing. But to see it out, be not out with Paddy at the end is something I'm really proud of.
You're through to the semi-finals now as well. A big queue next to the name of Australia. How does that feel?
Yeah, amazing. I think after the first 2 games, everyone was pretty quick to write us off, and to come back and win, 6 straight now is a great effort from this group. The belief is always there, and to win a game like tonight, hopefully that belief spreads through the change room.
Australia joins South Africa and the hosts India in the last 4. History earlier in the match too, as Ibrahim Zadran became the first Afghan player to score an ODI World Cup century. Afghanistan could still reach the semis, but they need to battle it out with New Zealand and Pakistan for the final spot. And you can get more reaction on the TMS podcast. That's available to download shortly via the BBC Sounds app. And then on Sports Extra tomorrow, there's commentary of England against the Netherlands from 8 o'clock in the morning. In the other sports news, the plan for a new independent regulator in English football has been outlined in the King's speech. King Charles said the Football Governance Bill will safeguard the future of football clubs for the benefit of communities and fans. And Bristol City have appointed Oxford United manager Liam Manning as their new boss. Remember, you can listen to our commentary this evening alongside the final score graphics and the video printed tonight. You can either do that by pressing the red button on your TV or go to BBC Player on your TV or your laptop or wherever, or you can go to the BBC Sport app and just click on 5 Live Final Score. Lots of ways to listen, and taking you through all the action in the second half in Dortmund, Neil Lennon and John Murray.
Yes, thank you, Kelly. Welcome back, everyone, inside Signal Iduna Park here in Dortmund, on the edge of the city. And the Borussia Dortmund players are out there in the yellow shirts with the black trim, black shorts, yellow and black striped socks. Here come Newcastle in their green. And Anthony Gordon is making his way out onto the pitch. And I think Almiron as well. Double change for Newcastle, going to come at the start of the second half. Mildly surprising that those two weren't in the starting lineup, but I suppose Eddie Howe is juggling his resources at the moment. And coming off, certainly Lewis Hall, I've seen his number go up, and Callum Wilson as well. So it looks as though we'll see Anthony Gordon playing this central role again for Newcastle United, with Wilson going off at half-time, and you have to wonder whether that's another injury for Newcastle or not.
Let's hope not, John. You know, they've had enough of that. But it's good to see both Gordon and Almiron on it. You know, they've set their stall out now for the second half, and they've got to try and get a goal and get back into this game, and these two will bring plenty of punch to the Newcastle attack now.
So rejig at the back then as a result of those changes. So Trippier has come to left back, as was quite widely felt he would start there for this match, and Livramento is now at right back on the far side. So complete rejig. Gordon through the middle, and Almiron of course on the right hand side. So Borussia Dortmund 1, Newcastle United 0 is the score as the second half begins in this early kick-off on this fourth match day, as UEFA like to call it, as Cher overhits a long pass through the middle. And should say as well, the German supporters absolutely love making their point about the running of football, and they're doing that again, the Borussia Dortmund fans, as Adeyemi has received the ball from Nmecha. He's onto his left foot. Adeyemi in the D, still going, shoots, it's deflected, but straight at Pope, who's able to gather the ball into his midriff.
I thought he should have got the shot off earlier. He'd opened the pitch up. He'd taken that one touch too many, and then he almost sort of closed himself off. In the end, he got a shot off straight at Pope, but early warning signs for Newcastle there. He got in behind Kieran Trippier far too easy, John.
Now we're actually got a stoppage here, because I think things are being thrown onto the pitch. I mentioned about the protest and various bits of flotsam and jetsam being thrown on, and this is a protest. It's about Champions League reform. There was a big yellow and black banner at the front that said, "You don't care about the sport, you only care about the money." And there was a big banner as well put up with the faces of, I think it was the architects of the failed Super League that were on the front of that. But you know, they're making that point here, the Borussia Dortmund supporters, and they are singing, "You're destroying our sport." So the German supporters are having their say here about what they feel is
They actually look like gold bars, John.
That's it. That's exactly what it is. So cardboard made to look like gold bars. So you've got to admire
the imagination,
and also the strength of feeling as well that's coming from the supporters in Borussia Dortmund's famous Süd Tribune. So this is the first of our midweek Champions League commentary matches. The next will be right along very shortly. We heard from Pat Neveny, and Dennis will be alongside him in the Metropolitano in Madrid later. But that's a ball across. Livramento with a cross, it's deflected and cleared away by a little touch from Zula, but that could easily have fallen to anyone in a green Newcastle shirt. In fact, Newcastle come again. Trippier playing it infield. Joe Linton, excellent from Livramento, pushing forward from now right back as he is, and here he is again on the right hand side with that jet black hair of his. Livramento on his European debut. Lewis Hall likewise, but he's been substituted at half time. He was on a yellow card after his early booking. And now Joe Linton on the left wing for Newcastle. Joe Linton tries to take it on towards the byline, gets the cross in. Hummels with his head to it. It's bounced out for a curling effort from Almiron with his left foot that was wide of the far post as he looked at it.
Oh, it's a great play from Newcastle. I have to say, Fabian Schär has had two unbelievable passes tonight. One to Joe Linton in the first half, and the one where he's hit to Livramento. Livramento's done brilliant to get to the byline and flashed it across. Goalkeeper got a touch on it, but it could have went anywhere. Unfortunately, it just fell for Schüller ahead of Willock. Brilliant from Newcastle, and then Joe Linton goes down to the byline, great cross. Almiron gets a touch and a shot, it just goes wide. Great response, really good from Newcastle, exactly what we're looking for here.
3 minutes played in the second half. Newcastle need to get something here. Paris Saint-Germain are away to Milan tonight. PSG top of the group with 6 points. Borussia Dortmund and Newcastle with 4, and Milan with 2. But Borussia Dortmund, thanks to that goal, that Nicholas Füllkrug goal in the 26th minute, leading the way. And here's Brandt now. Dortmund into the Newcastle penalty area. Brandt is able to get onto the ball again and shoot right-footed, and Pope goes down to his left and is able to shovel it away wide of the foot of his left post for a corner.
This game's opening up now, John, and both teams are showing their quality in attack. There's a great play from Brandt. He almost looked like he lost it, but he recovered again. Just nicked it away from Longstaff and got a curling shot on it that Pope punches away. Game's really, really vibrant at the minute.
Brandt, Dortmund's top scorer this season with the 5 goals that he scored. And he, with his right foot, is going to take this right-sided corner. Raises his left arm. Brandt into the edge of the 6-yard box. It bounces off Hummels, and it is scrambled away. Adeyemi with a shot. That's blocked. Then Özcan, and it is deflected beyond the far post, but the offside flag is up in there. And I'm not sure whether maybe Füllkrug did get a touch to that, hence the offside flag. Anyway, Newcastle's free kick, which they take quickly. No changes for Borussia Dortmund, so as they were, Kobel in goal, Zula, Hummels, Schlotterbeck and Reyes in the back 4, then Özcan with Sabitzer and Nemetcha in midfield, Adeyemi and Brandt switching wings, and goalscorer Füllkrug through the middle as Adeyemi stands up strongly against Willock, and the ball bounces behind off the Newcastle man for a goal kick to Dortmund. And Newcastle now with those 2 changes, Pope in goal, Livramento at right back, then Lascelles, Schär and Trippier moving across to left back, Guimaraes with Longstaff and Willock, and then Almiron, Gordon and Joe Linton. So Dortmund on the move, down in front of us, it's Zula pumping down the right wing, slipping the ball forward in towards Füllkrug, who is dispossessed, and eventually the ball bounces out of the big number 14 for a throw-in to Newcastle. Oh, that's poor from Joe Linton, miscontrolled it. Trippier actually apologises to Joe Linton for the throw at an awkward height. And again, we've got all those paper coasters that are littering the pitch down there, these little circular coasters that have been thrown up into the air from time to time. Dortmund going back to the halfway line to Hummels. The noise is tremendous. I hope it's coming across to you, whether you're in your car on the way home or wherever you're listening. But great venue, and the noise is swirling all around us here. It's mainly coming out of the Sud Tribune, all of that yellow and black, the Schwarz-Gelben to our left. Hummels drives the ball across, but that's intercepted centre field. Here's Livramento through towards Longstaff, returns it to Livramento, arms pumping, down the right wing he goes, and then Almiron is fouled by Sabitzer, and it's a free kick to Newcastle on the right flank.
Yeah, it's another foul, another great break from Livramento. Nice little 1-2 with Longstaff, slips it off to Almiron, and he's taken out by Reverson. So maybe an opportunity here for Trippier to put it in with a bit of quality.
It's a real test of where Newcastle are with all of the various absentees that they've got. But Almiron back on his feet. Trippier's ready to take this free kick from wide out on the right. Trippier with the delivery, in it goes to the near post. It's rattled straight to the feet of Brandt, who's able to clear away, but that's won back by Almiron, who gets it back from Joe Linton. Then the cross, that's blocked, and then Zula is underneath it to volley it away. Newcastle take up possession again. Groans from the home supporters. Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton back to his fellow Brazilian. Bruno Guimaraes gets his head down because he's been forced away towards the halfway line. Good work from Dortmund there, from Özcan, to put him under pressure and force him to go backwards. Newcastle, good spell of possession now. Lascelles, across it comes towards Trippier. Willock makes himself available. Now Joe Linton, heels on the white line. Back to Joe Linton, to Willock, back to the halfway line. Square towards Lascelles. Lascelles has a look up. No, out to the right it goes. Livramento closed down by Adeyemi. Longstaff now, but it's bounced away off Ryerson, and as it bounced to Almiron, he was in an offside position, and it's a free kick to Dortmund. 1-0 Dortmund lead. Neil,
it's a good game to watch. Newcastle are right in this contest, and it's getting feisty out there, and they're standing up to the challenge. There's a decent spell of possession there from them for a couple of minutes, took the sting out of the crowd, but they've already shown in the second half that they're capable of creating more chances. So this game is far from over. But what about the atmosphere now, John?
This is so loud. They are very much trying to do their bit. They've had their protest, they've done that, and now right behind their team, who this would be a crucial victory for Dortmund if they're able to win both matches, both middle matches in the group against Newcastle. They're in a very strong position. Joe Linton passing it forward, but Newcastle have other ideas. Livramento crosses the halfway line, and as the challenge comes in, he slips the ball out to the right hand side. That's where Gordon is. Gordon twisting back and then giving it to Almiron. Bruno Guimaraes. Livramento's free on the right. He's found him. Livramento's cross. Joe Linton heads it wide in the 6-yard box, arriving on it. He got a good forehead to that, but sent it wide of the left post from 6 yards.
Oh, John, it's a golden opportunity. What's a ball from Livramento? It's right on the money, and all he's got to do is get it on target. It's absolutely fantastic play from Newcastle, and all it needed was the finishing touch. They've deserved the goal. I mean, the two subs, Almiron and Gordon, have given them that real urgency and sharpness and impetus, and they look a real threat, but they definitely should be one each now.
Yeah, excellent movement, wasn't it? Gordon and Almiron, and Livramento showing what he can do if he's in a position there, which he was, with time and space to cross the ball. And Joe Linton really should have scored his first goal of the season. Newcastle come again though, undaunted, and Almiron goes for a shot from near the right corner of the box, but he looks up at the heavens above all of that metal yellow steelwork above our heads. It was well wide and high.
Yeah, but they've got problems now, Dortmund. They're getting sort of pegged back. I'm really impressed with Livramento. You know, he's in his natural position now. He looks such a strong runner, and that was a world-class cross. You know, he's been fundamental in the second half to what Newcastle are doing. But the two subs have been really sharp, really aggressive in their play, and it's a great watch at the minute, this game.
Yes, it is. It's really in the balance, isn't it? And with the 1-0 lead, Newcastle are putting pressure on Borussia Dortmund, but Dortmund break away. Nicolas Zula, it's not full tilt this, not by any means, and ball on the right hand side with Fulkrug goes all the way back towards the halfway line. Now back out to the right. Zula plays it infield. Adeyemi. Trippier comes in with a challenge, but Adeyemi has kept the ball, taking it into the full-back position, but then tackling back is Bruno Guimaraes. Excellent work from him and Trippier and Guimaraes. Although it's won back, Özcan to Sabitzer, and now Brandt 25 yards out centrally. Özcan back to Brandt. Nicely worked by Dortmund, and the shot across the face of goal is tipped wide by Pope. It might have been going wide, but the Newcastle goalkeeper couldn't be certain.
Super football. Lovely little 1-2 between Brandt and Özcan. And the shot is whipping away to the far post, but you're right, Nick Pope doesn't know that, and he gets a great hand on it. Actually, it might have been going on target, John, but he's done really well there, Nick Pope. Oh, there's an offside decision here by the looks of it. Oh. Or is he giving a goal kick?
Oh, well.
He's giving a goal kick.
Well, clearly didn't see that. I mean, we've got a brilliant view. We're right down the line and got a clear view of that, but that was a decent save.
Oh.
And Newcastle play it away from the back with Lascelles after the goal kick. Slightly dicey. 1-0 Dortmund lead, 5 live. As a low shot from Mecha, which Pope is able to go down. That was from best part of 25 yards and didn't hit it cleanly. It was a low effort, and Pope, routine save.
But it's sloppy from Newcastle trying to play it from the back. And Trippier playing a square ball across his box. He doesn't look all that comfortable here at left back tonight, and Adeyemi's giving him plenty of problems down this side. It looks like he's limping a bit as well, John.
Yeah, well, he took a couple of bangs against Arsenal at the weekend. Trippier's just hitched up the left side of his shorts. We're going to go to Manchester City for the team news, but the action's relentless here as Newcastle now come forward searching for this equaliser. Joe Linton plays it back towards the halfway line to Trippier. Trippier back out to the left-hand side to Joe Linton, but lots of yellow and black to find a way through. Let's see what Gordon can do. Plays it to the edge of the area, but Brandt is there to hoist it high back into his own penalty area, actually, or it lands now in the right back area, and Joe Linton has committed a foul. He's eased the pressure with that foul on Özcan and a free kick to Newcastle in their own right back area. So that is the moment we need to cross back to Manchester, back to the United Kingdom, and to Conor McNamara for the team news.
Manchester City against Young Boys tonight. Win here and City can go through for the group with 2 games to spare. Pep Guardiola doesn't go completely full strength tonight, but almost. Rodri, Walker, Alvarez and Bernardo Silva are all on the bench. The big news is that despite coming off at half-time of the weekend with an ankle injury, Erling Haaland starts.
So Pep Guardiola was absolutely correct when he said it was nothing to worry about at the weekend. Another stoppage here, Fulkrug's being fouled. That's going to be a free kick to Dortmund in the middle of the Newcastle half. So we've got the Manchester City team news. What about Celtic's team news in Madrid? That's where we find Ian Dennis.
Well, John, from the meeting a fortnight ago, 1 change for Celtic. Bernardo replaces the injured Hatate, and as for Atletico, 4 changes. De Paul is, of course, suspended, but Jimenez replaces Savic. Riquelme starts instead of Galan. Correa for Saul, and Barrios comes in for De Paul.
So Atletico Madrid against Celtic, live from inside the Metropolitano with Ian Dennis and Pat Nevin. And right now, Borussia Dortmund 1, Newcastle United 0. From inside Signal Iduna Park. Free kick after that foul on Fulkrug. Middle of the half. Brandt curls it in, right-footed and a stretching away from the head of Schär. Back to Dortmund, Özcan to Sabitzer. Then it comes back to Ryerson. And Ryerson, long right-footed diagonal ball that is headed across the penalty area from the right by Schlotterbeck. Still it's near the edge of the Newcastle penalty area. Zula works it to the right. Here's Hummels back across to Adeyemi, but importantly, crucially, Bruno Guimaraes was able to arrive back just at the point he was going to shoot and deflected it behind for a corner.
Brilliantly read by Guimaraes. Great cutback from Hummels. What he's doing up there, I don't know, but Guimaraes reads the danger and does enough as anti-him. He's just about to pull the trigger.
Corner then for Borussia Dortmund, who Newcastle turned around after winning the toss before the game, so they're attacking away from the yellow wall. Brandt takes the corner short, gets it back from Sabitzer, waits for the cross, pulls it onto his left foot, now back onto his right, but that's well defended actually for Newcastle. Well played by Almiron, back in his own right back area, and he's found the pass as well to Willock. Willock, relatively little football this season, goes back into his own half, just his 5th appearance, his 2nd start, Joe Willock, after the early season injuries. Now he has Livramento on the right hand side. Newcastle not going at full tilt here as they come forward. Bruno Guimaraes back to Livramento, he controls it on his right foot. Bruno Guimaraes available again, just hands off Özcan and then twists away and takes the ball into space, gives it back towards Cher in the centre circle, and Cher hits a bouncing low pass to the left hand side to Willock, who gets it under control, then to Joe Linton, a flick back to Willock. Willock now curling low but straight at Coble, and the goalkeeper's able to fall forward and scoop it up into his chest.
Probably just the wrong decision. It's a lovely play again, nice and patient from Newcastle. They build the play from one side to the other, and then nice interchange of passing between Joe Linton and Willock, and he just off balance as he hit the shot when maybe a cross would have been the better option.
5 Live and BBC Sounds and BBC Radio Newcastle as well. BBC Radio Newcastle listeners with us for the commentary this evening, as there's a foul on Cher by Fulkrug, and as well it is a 5 Live final score night tonight with all of the later football coming up. You can listen to our commentary as Cher goes for goal from 5 yards inside his own half, but Coble was very much alive and aware to it and was able to go back and hold the ball into his chest.
He's certainly got the range, Cher, that's for sure. I'm really enjoying this game. I think Newcastle are playing ever so well. It's been a really good spell in the game for them, John, but Dortmund always look dangerous on the counter as well, or even in the final third.
Yeah, Cher with that shot from inside his own half. Adiemi is then upended, and rather belatedly referee Hernandez gives that as a free kick. I think he was waiting to see possibly whether it was going to develop, but it was hardly going to develop for Dortmund because Newcastle took the ball away. I suspect, by the way, that in Germany now they call that a Harry Kane if you score from the halfway line after one of his recent goals. So, free kick for Dortmund. Don't mention Harry Kane in here. Scoring his hat-trick on Saturday.
Everyone turned around looking at you there.
House. Borussia Dortmund 1, Newcastle United 0. 25 minutes to go. Newcastle really need to get something from this game. Brandt with the free kick on the right. Here he is, curling it towards the penalty spot. It's gone a long way and it's bounced off a defender, Newcastle man, but straight back to his goalkeeper, Pope, who is able to take it quite easily. Mentioning Radio Newcastle, they've been giving a lot of coverage actually this week to 5 cyclists who've been doing a charity ride from Newcastle to Dortmund this week. They started on Saturday just before the Arsenal game, and they got here in good time, raising money for the Brave Hearts of the North East charity. They got here, they've cycled all the way, they didn't have tickets. I hope somehow they've been able to get themselves into the stadium for this match tonight. Thousands of Newcastle fans in the ground watching as Joe Linton loses the ball on the halfway line, flicked back by Willock, and then Trippier plays it back in field. 25 minutes exactly to go. Newcastle are sort of knocking gently on the door for an equaliser.
You can't take your eyes off it. You know, both teams look dangerous and both teams are playing well. The game's, you know, one end to the other at times.
Guimaraes, that's nice, but it just deflected, I think possibly off Gordon, straight into Schlotterbeck, who was able to clear, and Brandt and Dortmund inside their own half. Dortmund beaten 4-0 here by Bayern Munich, but before that it was 26 home matches unbeaten in all competitions. Seasoned Champions League players, this is their 8th season in a row in the Champions League. Newcastle United have only ever been in this competition 3 times. Newcastle in possession, back towards the edge of their own penalty area. However, this is new Newcastle, a different ball game. And Trippier in possession, passing it over the halfway line to Willock. Willock weaving his way down the left-hand side. Joe Linton in front of him, goes infield towards Gordon. But Borussia Dortmund dealt with that and now it comes back to Özcan, who clips a high pass. Lascelles has got to be careful here. Pope came out to the edge of his area. There was indecision there, and Lascelles, the captain, just took charge and volleyed it out of play for a throw.
Yeah, he had to, but the problem Jamal had, he let the ball bounce instead of dealing with it on the volley, and then he's always sort of chasing back to his own goal. He felt that Nick wasn't getting there, so he's just dealt with it. It's out for a throw in, no danger.
Throw in. Big Zula takes it, and then rather clumsily gives it away to Newcastle. Bruno Guimaraes, and then Joe Linton, who had that big chance with the header in the second half to make it 1-1. He's fouled by Adeyemi. And it's a free kick. Urgency from Newcastle. Urgency. They've got 4 points after 4 matches. Got to go to Paris, home to Milan. Teams have qualified, Neil, believe it or not, with 6 points from the groups. Only 2 of them ever from a Champions League group. And there's about, I think it was 10 instances of teams going through with 7 points. But it is rare. Here's Livramento. Through to Gordon on the edge of the penalty area. Gordon manages to get it back, still going, but too many yellow shirts in there, and in the end it bounced back onto Gordon and through for a goal kick.
He's unlucky, you know, he rode a couple of challenges, but Sabitzer just got enough on it to kick it off him. Was out for a big kick, but you know, they're very much in this game still. And when you put out those stats, John, earlier about the home record of Borussia Dortmund, you know, sometimes we expect a little bit too much at times. You know, they've got great pedigree in this competition, and as you said, it's only Newcastle's 3rd time in the competition, and they're holding their own tonight.
Oh, they're having a look, you know, because the ball bounced up into the arm of the defender as it deflected off Gordon and through for a goal kick. But his arm was down, he was crouching over, and they've dismissed that VAR in terms of a penalty check. So still 1-0 Borussia Dortmund. And Willock moves away from Adeyemi, but Joe Linton was on his heels, and again Hummels steps forward, the veteran defender, and then gives it to Adeyemi and says, go on, what can you do? And he's up against Livramento, who's on the left side, and Livramento goes in for the challenge in the area and gets a tackle on it and puts it behind for what is given as a Dortmund corner. 1-0 Dortmund lead.
Again, really impressive from Livramento. He's I don't know if he switched with Trippier and going left back, but he's in the left back position there, and he dealt with Adeyemi brilliantly.
Corner to Dortmund. Second goal for Dortmund, and it would be really hard to see Newcastle getting anything out of this. So they've got to be strong. But clean sheets have been a strength again in recent times. Certainly at St James's Park in the Premier League. Brandt with a corner for Dortmund, deep to the back post. Hummels got his head to it, but it came off Livramento as he headed it down into the youngster, and it's deflected behind for another corner, wide of the far post for another corner to Dortmund from the left this time.
He's done well again, you know, he's 1v1 against Hummels, he's got the run on him, but you know, he's managed to do enough to put Hummels off and get something on the ball.
20 years old, and he's been given Hummels to look after, although he's also having to look after Fulkrug. In fact, it's Fulkrug he's looking after now. It's a corner then from the far side, so this is an in-swinger from Brandt with that blonde hair, that vivid blonde hair swept back. Referee spotted some pushing and shoving in the 6-yard box. So the corner for Dortmund. Still we wait. Brandt into the near post, a flick wide from Nemecha and deflected wide. It's another corner, a 3rd consecutive one.
It's a big chance that Johnny gets a free run on it. Didn't get enough purchase on the flick. Deflected out for another corner. They've just got to be concentrated here. Newcastle, this is really important.
Brandt again standing up against the hoardings, one foot in front of the other. The delivery, Pope comes for it and makes a catch comfortably inside the 6-yard box. So 1-0 Borussia Dortmund continue to lead. Neil Lennon with us, Northern Ireland international. Neil, I'm sure you'll want to send your best to Pat Jennings, by the way, who obviously had a bit of a turn at Tottenham last night, but it sounds as though he's going to be okay to go and unveil his statue in Newry tomorrow, from what we hear.
I heard he wasn't well, but I heard he got the all clear. And speaking of goalkeepers, but what a legend Pat Jennings was, and a real role model for a lot of people in my generation.
Absolutely. Nick Pope has sat down in the penalty area, and it looks as though, well, he's pointing towards his calf, his right calf, and this could be a problem. for Newcastle United. Another injury. And Nick Pope, who's made a series of saves again in this match, so important, such a big part of this Eddie Howe Newcastle United team. The players have all come across very quickly, which I think tells you all you need to know about the effort that they've put in. And the coaches are playing their part as well. Edin Terzic of Borussia Dortmund talking to Adeyemi, talking to Nmecha, and likewise Eddie Howe with the Newcastle players calling for a big effort in the last 20 minutes. And Nick Pope has received treatment, and it looks as though he's going to be okay. There's an announcement: the stadium is sold out, but I missed the actual crowd figure. But I mean, it's good. The capacity here is, for a Champions League night, is round about 80,000 people.
Amazing, isn't it?
As we drove past the railway station, the Hauptbahnhof earlier, they were pouring in, presumably from all over the Ruhr, as they do for all of the home matches. So Nick Pope is okay, but that's a worry. Throw in for Newcastle. Livramento onto the chest of Joe Linton. Time running out for Newcastle. Through from Guimaraes towards Almiron. Brandt, I think he was pulled back by Longstaff. Sabitzer does well though, touch in on that. Nmecha's pass forward, Adeyemi trying to get round Livramento, and in the end the two of them tangling together, and the referee says to them both, get up, says to Adeyemi, get up. It's not a free kick. Nick Pope's got it.
Yeah, it was a foul on Livramento, and Adeyemi's looking for the foul to be given against Livramento. What a job he's done. He's now playing at left back, and Trippier's gone back to his natural position at right back. Because
so why have they done that?
Well, I think he was struggling a little bit, Trippier, on the left hand side. Either he's carrying a little bit of a knock, or they just felt that Livramento was better suited to take care of Adeyemi just for the extra pace.
The crowd, 81,365. Borussia Dortmund say vielen Dank. And vielen Dank Borussia Dortmund for the special Borussia Dortmund ice cream, which I enjoyed tonight. Out to the right-hand side to Trippier. And now it's Bruno Guimaraes who takes it down, slips the ball infield towards Gordon, but Ryerson was able to outmuscle him, and then it's passed away, and Julian Brandt turns and wins a throw-in for his team near the halfway line. We've got less than 20 minutes to play now. Newcastle, otherwise they're going to need to get something potentially in Paris, and then maybe to win against Milan, possibly to go through, possibly to stay in Europe.
Yeah, what do you got, maybe 20 minutes, John? 20 minutes to eventually going to have to gamble and throw more bodies forward. I have to say though, watching Livramento tonight again, I think he's had an outstanding game. And you've got another English right back who looks
another one.
You stop hoarding them all, please.
Funnily enough, I said to Chris Waddle, who was with us for the Arsenal match at the weekend, I said, I'm not sure you and I have ever commentated on a Valentino before, to which our colleague Will Perry got in touch, young Will Perry, to say Valentino Lazaro played for Newcastle. So they break forward, Dortmund. Adeyemi plays it to the left-hand side. Brandt crosses, but that was blocked. Brandt plays it infield, Sabitzer, but Willock got a touch on that. This is dangerous for Newcastle. Nmecha's becoming more influential in the game, but that's an excellent challenge by Willock on Nmecha. And now Newcastle bring it forward with Almiron in the centre circle. Turns, Özcan went with him. He's still able to find Willock. Willock now to Gordon, who's peeled out to the right-hand side. Joe Linton in the middle. Longstaff's gone through the middle as well. And now, on the right-hand side, Trippier with the cross to the back post. Joe Linton underneath it, heads it towards the penalty spot. Spectacular overhead kick is blocked. Bruno Guimaraes, that was blocked by Özcan inside the penalty area. Comes back for Newcastle again. Joe Linton back to the edge of the box. Bruno Guimaraes thought about the shot, goes square to Trippier. Trippier's ball in from the angle over the top of Joe Linton, headed away by Zula. And Newcastle now really testing Borussia Dortmund. That looked like a foul on Livramento. Referees played the advantage. Bruno Guimaraes 25 yards out, angles it again towards Trippier on the right. Trippier controls it, flicks it back, then the ball into the penalty area to Almiron. Newcastle, good possession. Bruno Guimaraes though, his ball over the top is overhead. Almiron couldn't get there. Goalkeeper Coble could comfortably.
Great play, great passage of play from Newcastle. That's the best they've had for the last 10 minutes. Every one of them are giving everything out there at the minute, John. Their physicality off the ball, their running power. They're just missing that vital bit, which is the goal, obviously. Yep. But they're playing ever so well. Newcastle with over 50% of the possession in the match now. He has Fulkrug through the middle, the goal scorer. Now to Brandt, could open up for Dortmund. Brandt into the book, shoots from the angle, but right across the face of goal.
and in the middle, Fulkrug trotting in, couldn't get there, and it is a goal kick. 1-0 Dortmund lead. Newcastle United have failed to score in only 3 matches this season. Before today, obviously Dortmund in the home match, Milan away in the Champions League, and Manchester City away in the Premier League. Newcastle yet to score away in this Champions League group. They really, really could do with breaking that duck here tonight. But Dortmund are and continue to be a threat. Here's Hummels on the halfway line. Hummels just rolls it to Brandt again. Brandt just keeps possession. Then the crossfield pass is controlled by Zula. Little ball to Adeyemi. Back to Zula. The good work from Cher, who goes down and wins the ball back against Zula and then takes it to the halfway line as Newcastle pour forward in green. Willock keeps his feet well after the challenge from Adeyemi. Then Hummels puts in an excellent tackle on Willock, but he's got support there, Willock, from Almiron, who was fouled by Adeyemi, and it's a free kick 5 or 6 yards back from the corner flag for Newcastle.
That's fantastic play from, first of all, Shaw, and then a great break by Almiron and Willock. Willock's, you know, he's looking tired now, but he has put in some yards tonight. Hummels makes a great tackle, but recycled the ball, Almiron, and then he's fouled by Adeyemi. So another decent opportunity to put a good ball into the box here, John.
It's got a great ebb and flow to it, this game.
Yeah.
In this brilliant arena, yellow and black everywhere, flags, banners, scarves, the whole lot. And I don't know, will there be another goal? Will there be more than one goal? Will there be no more goals? We simply do not know. Free kick then for Newcastle. Set piece opportunity. Dortmund have got everyone back. Trippier's come across to take this from the left hand side. He's got a nice angle on this. Whistles from the yellow wall behind that goal as Trippier plays it in, didn't get the delivery right, and it was headed down easily and comfortably by the first man at the near post. And now Dortmund break with a long ball to Brandt. It's 2 against 1. Brandt in possession, Livramento the only defender, and Brandt scores! Left-footed across Pope, and it's Borussia Dortmund who get their second goal and likely finish off Newcastle here this evening. And the confetti goes up again, and Newcastle are going to have it all to do in this group. 2-0 Dortmund lead.
I think that's burst the Newcastle bubble. I did say, you know, when Newcastle were going to have to gamble. Well, they did. They threw everybody forward there. The ball was not deep enough from the free kick, and 2 players break. Adeyemi plays a long ball to Brandt, and then it's a 2v1 against Livramento. You know, half a pitch Brandt's got to run into. Livramento can't get close to him. He uses Sabitzer as a decoy to pass it. Livramento stays away. Brandt opens his body up on his left foot and smashes it low into the corner. Great finish. But that's the jeopardy that's the gamble that you have to take sometimes, Sean. And you get punished at the highest level, and Newcastle have been punished.
Borussia Dortmund 2, Newcastle United 0. And Newcastle making another change there. It's young Lewis Miley, the 17-year-old, who has come on. I didn't see who left the field.
I think it's Joe Willock.
Willock, yeah, that makes sense.
Joe's give us all tonight, and he was running on empty, really.
Yeah. So Lewis Miley is on for his European debut. So 3 youngsters have been given their European debut, and at the other end of the scale, that great Borussia Dortmund servant Marco Reus, the 34-year-old former captain who made his 400th Borussia Dortmund appearance at the weekend against Bayern Munich. He has come on to replace Adeyemi. But you would think that Dortmund had done enough now against Newcastle, who are attacking, but it comes to nothing in the right back area. Hummels was there again. Cher, his right-footed ball in. That's headed away on the edge of the box by Schlotterbeck for Dortmund, and then goal scorer Brandt. He's just scored his 6th goal of the season. He is able to release the ball to the left-hand side, where it's taken forward, battling through the middle. A low shot comes in from the left back, Ryerson, who took it a long way, but straight at Pope, who was able to deal with it straightforwardly.
It's just looking now, John, that some of the Newcastle players are showing the fatigue. It's not just physical, it's psychological as well. That second goal has really hurt them, and you want to try and get back into the game, but you also don't want to concede anymore either. The game's so open now. A lot of them look leggy out there.
Out to the right to Trippier, and now challenge inside the box from there's Chan, which took the ball and deflected it behind off Longstaff, who's looking at the referee.
Well, that's a free kick.
That was penalty. Yeah, it was quite a heavy challenge inside the penalty area.
Barged him in the back.
Came in at pace, used his body. Longstaff went down, but VAR, needless to say, will have had a look and have backed up the referee's on-field decision. Play resumes. Borussia Dortmund leading 2-0 and just 6 minutes or so to go. So they're going to have to do it the hard way in Newcastle. Looks like they're going to lose home and away to Borussia Dortmund, who've got that Bayern Munich performance out of their system all right today with this, a goal in each half. And Newcastle are going to have to get something, you would think, in Paris and against Milan at home. Here's Bruno Guimaraes playing it to the right-hand side. He gets it back. They haven't given it up yet. Certainly not. If Joe Linton had been able to bury that header, that was the big moment, Neil.
Massive moment in the game, John, and they were in the ascendancy at the time. If it goes 1-1 with the way they were playing, they could have went on to win it, but at this level you have to score those chances.
And there was always that threat. Newcastle, for the second goal, sent everyone forward. Dortmund had everyone back, but counter-attacked so effectively. Here's Almiron putting in the challenge, but the ball bounces out of play. That did look as though it came off the Dortmund man, but it's given us a home throw. So 2-0 to Borussia Dortmund, who will very shortly go to the top of the group with 7 points. Milan against PSG is tonight. We'll have commentary coming on Atletico Madrid against Celtic. What time is it now back home? Almost 7:30 back home. So we're about half an hour away from commentary from Madrid and coverage as well of Manchester City against Young Boys. Tomorrow night, Arsenal against Sevilla live from the Emirates. We're also in Denmark with Manchester United, and tomorrow as well, live on Sports Extra, England against the Netherlands to see what happens next to poor England at the Cricket World Cup. 2-0 Dortmund lead as Cher glance heads it back to Lascelles with Fulkrug putting himself about, but Newcastle have it. Here's Livramento. Now Joe Linton infield towards Bruno to Almiron away from Royce, and now Bruno Guimaraes. What he must not do, Bruno Guimaraes, is get a yellow card in this match and get suspended. In fact, Edin Terzic is suggesting that should have been a free kick and possibly a yellow card for Bruno Guimaraes, which would have been harsh. But that's absolutely crucial now. They cannot lose him for that next match in France.
Listen, John, they can't lose any more players at the minute. I mean, it's really starting to tell. The injuries. It's really biting Eddie in the squad. They're patching the team together at times, but at this level, you need a lot more strength and depth. They haven't played badly tonight, Newcastle. For me, they've deserved something out of the game, but they've lacked that little bit of quality in the final finish, and now they're in trouble again.
Yeah, Dortmund again. Nemecha plays it through to Brandt. Lascelles has been able to get back, but there are two other Dortmund players. Chip comes across. That's headed down and away though by Kieran Trippier, and that chance, that threat has gone. Bruno Guimaraes now passing it forward for Gordon. Gordon racing onto it, but Schlotterbeck got there first for Dortmund. And really, Newcastle have been unable to create anything for Gordon since he's come on in that central role.
The little spells in the 20 minutes of the second half, but you hit the nail on the head, John. The big moment was the Joe Linton chance. It was a glaring miss, and to be fair, his all-round game has been decent tonight, but he's missed two great opportunities. One where he was clean through in the first half and miscontrolled the ball, and obviously that header that he put wide at a crucial stage of the game. But now they're looking a little bit dead on their feet, a little bit, Newcastle. And that's just the weeks in the games catching up on them with the lack of depth in the squad. But I'll tell you one thing they've got plenty of character and they're gutsy.
Dortmund make another change, and the man who scored the opening goal, the German striker Füllkrug, the centre forward, and you can only call him a centre forward, Nicholas Füllkrug, is off, and he's been replaced by one of the young stars, Youssoufa Moukoko, who remember went to the World Cup with Germany, the 18-year-old, and Miley, who came on at 17 years old, by the way, is now Newcastle's youngest player in any European competition. So there's a little bit of history for him tonight. 2-0 Dortmund lead in the final minutes here. Less than 4 minutes plus added time to play. Here's Brandt, scorer of the second goal. That was the real blow. Before that, it was in the balance. Ryerson to the left-hand side, comes back in field towards Brandt. And then again, Brandt. Royce is available through the middle, still with the bleach blonde hair. He doesn't look like the fresh-faced youngster anymore, though, that he once did, Marco Royce. Mind you, not many of us do. Here's Joe Linton down the left, but that's deflected out of play. Joe Linton to Bruno Guimaraes. He's got two players either side of him, and he is fouled. Combination of Moukoko and Özcan. Free kick to Newcastle, 5-6 yards inside the Dortmund half.
They just seem to have put a lot of effort in physically, but they're not getting anywhere, John, at the minute. You know, they're not really hurting Dortmund. Dortmund look like they're quite comfortable seeing this game out now, 2-0, and maybe getting another one on the counter-attack.
Free kick, Bruno Guimaraes plays it square. Trippier, if it's going to come for Newcastle, it needs to come very, very soon. Header across the box from Lascelles after Trippier put it in, but that's cleared away. And Dortmund look to break again. Brandt, it's been a real threat, Brandt, whether he's been on the left or the right, and obviously got that second goal. Royce now to Özcan, the Turkish international, does well to keep his feet. Plays it through to Moukoko, I think fouled Lascelles on the edge of the box, although that's not given as a free kick. And then he caught Lascelles on the head as he ran past him with his legs. Livramento clears to the halfway line, and then Zula back into the centre circle. And Dortmund now in control. They know it, the crowd know it, the Newcastle fans, all of their thousands to our right in the two tiers in the corner, are standing, most of them watching silently now and thinking about where they might get a crate in Dortmund a little later to drown their sorrows. Here's Zula on the right hand side in towards Özcan. They're managing the game now, Dortmund. Guimaraes though in to win it back with Almiron, and then Longstaff out to the right hand side to Trippier, but Newcastle still in their defensive third. We're in the 90th minute now. The game is almost up for Newcastle. Here's Livramento, dark hair, long on top, flopping down his forehead. Then Gordon on the left-hand side. Gordon looking to get it back. What do you think of Gordon as a central striker in the absence of Wilson and Isak?
No, not for me. He's an out-and-out winger.
Here's Longstaff taking it on. Longstaff chipping it across, but beyond Almiron, who is twisting. And the ball actually is still in play near the corner flag, and it's allowed to roll out of play for a throw-in.
But I can understand why Eddie's doing this, because he's no other options really. And one thing Anthony will give you is he going behind. He's a fantastic player and he's having a fantastic season. And it's just sort of putting square pegs in round holes for Eddie at the minute with the amount of absentees that he has. And we're hoping that Callum Wilson's not injured, because he's had to come off at half time. That would be another huge blow.
Yeah, as 3 minutes of added time are indicated. Yeah, I mean, I do see that Eddie Howe is certainly managing Callum Wilson this season. This is only the 6th match he started, and he substituted him at the weekend as well, if you remember. Willett came on for him. As Newcastle with Almiron just outside the D, finds Livramento in space on the left-hand side, in the box, curls it across, and the goalkeeper has actually got to hand it over the crossbar. He was almost wrong-footed there, Coble, but managed to just push it over the top for a corner.
Yeah, nice ball from Almiron to Livramento, who's I think he's had a fantastic game, John. He sort of miscued the cross, but it almost done the goalkeeper. He's just got a hand to flick it over the bar.
That was a mishit, was it?
I think so, yeah. I think a bit of a miscue.
He might have been having a little cheeky go.
You reckon,
yeah. Corner for Newcastle. We're in added time. There's just 2 minutes to go. 2-0 down. In comes the corner. That's headed away. That's punched away by goalkeeper Coble. Comes out from Miley, but Miley loses out to Mukoko, who then loses out to Livramento.
What a good player he is.
Yeah, Newcastle's man of the match.
Yeah, he's been outstanding for me.
I think he was given man of the match at Old Trafford last week, wasn't it? And it does look, doesn't it, that after Old Trafford and Arsenal, that this was just your classic game too far.
Yeah, you have to remember what these games take out of you, you know, and then of course during those games, John, he's losing players. You know, he's lost Byrne, he's lost Target, he's lost Murphy to a dislocated shoulder, and you know, we're hoping Callum Wilson's going to be all right. But with 12 out, it does bite you eventually, particularly at this level. But I having said that, I don't think they played badly tonight. It's just big moments in the game have you know, had an impact on the scoreline and the result.
Yep. Well, we'll hear from Eddie Howe later on 5 Live and on Radio Newcastle as well, of course. But we're in the final minute of added time. Dortmund 2-0 up, Füllkrug in the first half, Brandt in the second, and Newcastle are going to need a massive effort if they're going to get through to the knockout stages after Christmas. They'll be left with 4 points from 4 matches, and actually if Milan then beat PSG tonight, Newcastle would be bottom of the table. But there was a big if in the middle of that sentence. Almiron playing it out to the left-hand side. Here is Gordon, who gets it down on the flank, and then Trippier arrives, left-footed cross, takes a flick off a defensive head, and then is volleyed goalwards by Almiron, but blocked by a defender inside the penalty area, and the ball spins away out for a throw on the right-hand side.
It's a decent effort from Almiron, because the ball's coming away from him over his shoulder. He's made a great connection. There's the final whistle, John.
There it is, a huge roar from the home fans inside the Signal Iduna Arena here. Borussia Dortmund have done the double over Newcastle in this group, beaten them at St James's Park and beaten them now here in Germany. 1-0 on Tyneside, 2-0 tonight. It was in the balance for a while in the second half, but that second goal from Brandt, that finished it. Neil Lennon.
Yeah, decent performance from Newcastle. With some good chance, quality chances. The big one falling to Joe Linton in the second half. If he scores that, makes it 1-1 with Newcastle in the ascendancy, and that's a big moment that passed them by. And just the gamble then towards the end, and they were caught on the counter-attack by a great finish from Brandt, who played really well on the night. But they've got it all to do now, John.
Yep, that big moment when Joe Linton had the header from the Livramento cross when it was 1-0. That in the second half was the big moment. They know it, Joe Linton will know it. But the flags are waving, the Borussia Dortmund flags are waving here tonight, and Newcastle now have an awfully lot to do to get themselves through into the knockout stages of the Champions League. Final score here, Borussia Dortmund 2, Newcastle United 0.
John Murray and Neil Lennon in Dortmund for us this evening, and just looking at the faces of the Newcastle players, they do look incredibly disappointed, but it's what John was saying, Neil, is that they looked like players who knew the game was there for them. It was just, again, like the return leg at St James's Park, it just had that sense of just moments not quite going their way.
Yeah, absolutely, Kelly. When you think about the short corner that they worked, that was a great chance. Joe Linton again, you know, great run over the top first half where he was clean through and couldn't control it. Those are big moments, and because there's nothing in the game, you know, and you know that if you don't take your chances at this level, eventually the opposition, particularly at home, will get you. And then Joe Linton it was a wonderful ball in from Livramento, who had a fantastic game tonight, I thought, for a young player. And he just got the header wrong. And if he hits it on target, it's 1-1, and the game's right there for them. But they give everything. You know, you can tell the injuries are biting now. You know, they've had such a difficult week, and it's not just, you know, physically demanding, it's mentally demanding on the players as well.
Rich on social media says, I don't think Newcastle have been that bad in either Dortmund game, but Dortmund have been very, very good. Matthew says, Dortmund across both legs have been the best side we've played all season. Easy. Brandt tonight has looked world class. I mean, I think there's a really good point in there, Neil, which is that there's nothing Newcastle really could have done too much more in that game. And Dortmund are good, but the best side Newcastle have played all season, are they that good?
No, I wouldn't go that far, but that, again, that's subjective. That's people's opinions. I think they're a good side. I think in the match they've got a classy midfield player. Hummels was very good. I mean, John touched on it during commentary, Kelly, the pedigree that Dortmund have in this competition. You cannot, you know, deny that. You know, this is a seasoned team at this level, And to be honest with you, there wasn't much between the teams. I just think the lack of depth of quality that Eddie had at his disposal tonight probably cost him. He had to start with Hall and Livramento. Not ideal at this level because they're rookies really. Both of them played quite well, to be fair, but they just didn't have that cutting edge when you think of what Isaac can bring, and a fully fit Farron, Callum Wilson, and you get Almiron on, and you get Murphy fit, and you get sort of Gordon and Dan Burnham. Eventually it does hit you, and Tonali obviously, they've lost him for a long period of time, so it's just circumstances at the present that have cost Newcastle more than anything else. But I got to admire their personality, their character and the physicality. They give it everything tonight, but they look a tired team tonight, Kelly.
Yeah, and Rich on social media continued to say that not much chance of qualification now. Didn't expect it in that group, but can still get into the Europa League by beating Milan at St James's Park. Just remind us, John, of how the group stands and what Newcastle potentially could do here.
Well, Milan against PSG tonight. That is being played in Italy. So currently Borussia Dortmund top of the group with 7 points, PSG with 6, Newcastle with 4 and Milan with 2. And I suppose, looking at it that way, and remember it's the head-to-head record as well that comes into it, and now Borussia Dortmund are confirmed as having a superior head-to-head record against Newcastle. So whatever the chance was before we came into this tonight, that is significantly reduced in terms of getting into the top 4. They've probably got to win both matches in Paris and at home against Milan to stand a chance.
The thing is, they've already beaten Paris Saint-Germain and beaten them well. This is not a sort of an excellent Paris Saint-Germain side. There is an outside opportunity there for them, Neil.
Yeah, but it's a big ask, Kelly, in Paris. It's not St James's Park and in front of 55,000 Geordies, and Paris Saint-Germain after tonight will know what they've got to do to qualify as well. So it's a huge undertaking. I think the home form in the Champions League is pretty strong. So yeah, I mean, it would be wonderful if they could go and get something there and take it to the last game against Milan. But just presently with the lack of players that they have, it's always going to catch up with you. And they've had such a difficult week with United, Arsenal, and now travelling here. And they've just been unfortunate not to get something out of the game. And the quality counts at this level, and Dortmund just had the edge on that tonight.
Neil, just tell me a bit more about a player in Livramento that you've mentioned a few times in commentary and post-match here as well, because he isn't a hugely experienced player. He's come into the side, he's been asked to do a job, and although he was the one defender in that 2-on-1 situation for the second goal, he played really well.
Kelly, I thought he was outstanding. I saw him a few weeks ago against Manchester City. He was up against Grealish and then he was up against Doku, and he handled both of them brilliantly. He's a big, strong, athletic runner with the ball. He's a good defender. He's good on the ball. He put in a world-class cross tonight for Joe Linton, and then he went to left back and did a sterling job on the left-hand side. And for someone so young who's got Kieran Trippier in front of him, he's not done his reputation any harm over the last sort of month or so, and I think he's a real talent. And I can understand why Newcastle have paid the money for him, and the fans have really taken to him as well. So this is a kid who's going in the right direction after a horrendous injury, and I thought he was outstanding tonight.
Neil, we'll get more from you because we're going to start looking ahead to Atletico Madrid against Celtic, so just stay put for just a second.